I had to get my next guest on. It's Kevin Moen. Who is Kevin Moen? He was a defensive back for Cal in 1982. 42 years ago is when this play happened. He was on special teams, and he scored the touchdown on the play. Kevin, welcome.
Thank you. Good to be here.
You know, I'm sure you get asked all the time all the generic questions about do you remember it every day and all that. I actually want to start in a different kind of way. I
All
was
right.
reading that Elway I was talking to the coach after Stanford went up and or before they went up, and he was saying that um, they called a timeout with 8 seconds to go in case they had a bad snap. And
Right.
if they had not done that, the
Yeah.
clock would have pretty much run out and you guys wouldn't have had a play. Is that
That
right?
that is totally right. I think about that, when you look back and you analyze kind of like the elements of that game, that was a critical juncture that they left 4 seconds on the clock. If they'd have waited 4 seconds, kicked the field goal, time runs out, game's over. So in retrospect, they shouldn't have called timeout, but I'm glad they did.
Absolutely. So take us through like what happened on the sidelines. What do you remember? For those of us that don't haven't played at that level, what does the special teams coach say? Do you guys practice a flip, lateral play in case this comes up, or what was said before the kick?
Well, not a whole lot. Another critical kind of decision was that our special teams coach put our hands team out there versus our regular kickoff return team. So that brings out on the field kind of your DBs, your running backs, your wide receivers, your tight ends, guys that are kind of a little more fluid with the ball than some linemen or linebackers that may have been out there on the kickoff return team. So another kind of what I thought was a key decision was to call our onside, kickoff return team. We had goofed around in practice. Joe Cap had introduced a game called Grabas, where for our warm up, you have 20 guys on each side and you just throw the ball, lateral ball, no rules basically.
Right.
So not that was brought up during our huddle before the thing, but Richard Rodgers had made a comment in the huddle, hey, don't let the ball die. And so that was kind of our parting words going out on the field was, hey, just see what happens. To try to structure and organize a return like that is impossible. First of all, you don't know where the kickoff's going. It was a random event that once we kind of got in the flow of things took off and everybody said, okay, we're lateraling it, we'll get it down the field.
So take me through what happens with you. How do you know what to do? Are you following where the ball is? Are you how did you even know where to go?
Well, from our alignment, I had noticed we were actually missing a guy on our onside kick return team. So I had actually moved over into the middle of the field a little further than where I should have been. And once the ball came to me, my game plan was to score a touchdown. So I literally started taking off with that in mind till I saw 3 Stanford guys running at me and randomly looked over and saw Richard Rodgers standing on the sideline kind of waving at me. And at that point, I kind of just said, hey, I'm not going anywhere. Here you go. And then once again, the flow kind of starts to happen with Richard lateraling it back to Dwight and then Dwight getting it back. And by then, everybody's kind of in this flow of what we're going to do. And fortunately, we kind of aligned in a position. Richard was an option quarterback. I was an option quarterback in high school. And so kind of you could see that developing. And so everybody just kind of fell into place randomly, but it all worked out.
It's like a rugby play, right? I mean, it's really what
Exactly.
it is.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
you get the ball at like the 25. Did it ever go through? I mean, I'm sure all you're thinking is touchdown, but you see the band on the field, the famous call by Joe Starkey. The band's
Right.
on the field. Did you ever think plays over, or in your head, did you hear any whistles or anything like that, or was it just like run like hell to the end zone?
Yeah, at that point, I really didn't realize the band was on the field till I got the last lateral. And at that point, my mindset was get in the end zone. So it wasn't like, hey, the play got called dead, or what are these guys doing out there? It was like, hey, I'm here. I'm getting to the end zone. So I pretty much just put my head down and kept going at that point. So, fortunately, it all worked out.
So you hit the trombone player. It's Gary Tyrell, who obviously you've had a good relationship. Um,
Uh-huh.
did you ever think I mean, when you're growing up, we all want to take the last shot, kick the last field, catch the last touchdown. But did you ever think in a million years that this is what, you'd be known for? Like, it's almost unfathomable.
It's hard to dream up that. You dream of hitting grand slam home runs, catching a touchdown pass, making an interception, but to kind of come up with that format of a dream is kind of impossible. So I'm glad it all worked out, and I was really fortunate. Guys that were out on the field all did the right things to make this play occur. And then you add that element of the band as one kind of a crowning moment. And I sure never dreamt about the band before. So, but no, I had, that was kind of my celebration, and my celebration kind of ended up on top of Gary, and that was just part of the celebration there.
How long did the celebration go? What was it like on campus that night, the next day? I mean, was it just like, was everyone talking about it? Now, were you the focus of everything, or?
Well, what was kind of interesting? First of all, that celebration continues to this day, so we're still celebrating. So,
Right.
But what was unique about it is that nobody really knew who was involved or what really took place. It wasn't an era of YouTube and instant media. And so, after the game, I was walking off the field and nobody really knew it was me that scored. They knew we
Right.
scored. And so guys are like, what the heck just happened? So it took a little while for names to get associated with what happened and how it happened. And so, but there was definitely a great celebration. I'll never forget that fan involvement after the game, with the fans coming on the field, and just it was a great experience.
Can you imagine what it would be like now with social media? And I mean,
Absolutely.
you literally would be on Good Morning America. I
Yeah.
mean, like, right?
Yeah. So it took a little while for all the pieces to fall together, but it became a great story with all the guys that were involved for the team. For Joe Cap, I mean,
Yep.
it was kind of a crowning moment for him. For Joe Starkey, the announcer,
Right.
it's been a great kind of credit to him in the call, and then just all the guys that were involved. It's a great event for our team because it was a team effort to do all that. So
Now, I was also reading that Elway was obviously really, pissed at the time. I think he's kind of gotten over it, but I don't know, man. If I'm him, I get where he'd be, because it
yeah.
took him out of the chance to go to a bowl game, and he seems like he's kind of, accepted it at this point. Is that what you?
Well, yeah, I've had some encounters with him over the years, and I told him when I saw him holding up his Super Bowl trophy, I knew he'd be all right. And so, but before that, it was always kind of an agitation for him. That kind of game, to lose that kind of game where you had this miraculous comeback, is pretty heartbreaking. And I know for a lot of Stanford people, it's been hard to digest over the years, but it is what it is. They called it the way they called it, and we won the game.
Can I ask if you have kids?
I do. I have two kids.
Okay, so do they know? I mean, do they think that you're like the coolest guy in the? I mean, like,
well, I don't know about that, but they have fun with the play and being associated with their dad, being involved in it. And, they put a statue at Memorial Stadium to honor that team and that play. And they were up there for that. And so they've had a fun time kind of celebrating this event with me throughout their lives. So,
yeah, I was watching the video. Roxy Bernstein, who I
uh-huh.
before, was doing the emceeing of it. It was just such an incredible event. Um,
Right.
so I'll end with this, and I can't thank you enough for taking the time. Do you think about it every day?
It doesn't enter my conscious thought every day, but I get reminded of it quite frequently. And it's just a special thing to be a part of. I'm humbled to be part of that group that was able to do this. And it's just a great memory. It was my last game at Cal, and so it was a great memory for me to take with me.
Well, how ironic, by the way. I was reading that you tried out for the Broncos.
Uh-huh.
Was Elway?
Yeah.
Did he get
Yeah.
drafted by the Broncos that year?
Yeah, no, the next year.
Oh my!
I went to training camp originally with the Raiders and got released by them, and then got picked up by the Broncos that next year. And it was not what I would call probably a great match, because at that point there was some sensitivity and there was quite a bit of publicity still going on about the play.
Right.
And so I don't think he loved that I was there, but it was fun. And like I said, over the years, I've had encounters with him and had a chance to talk to him about it. And at this point, I think he looks at it as a historical event that occurred, and kind of can laugh about it a little bit now.
So I'll end with this. The three biggest moments I think in my lifetime: the 1980 USA hockey team,
Yeah.
this, and Buster Douglas knocking Mike Tyson out.
Yeah.
So I've interviewed Eruzione. I've now interviewed Kevin Moen, who scored the touchdown. Now I have to get Buster Douglas.
There you go. There you go.
then I can retire.
Yeah, there you go. You got the trifecta there.
Hey, Kevin, I can't thank you enough. This has been awesome. Congrats.
Yeah.
It's just such a cool thing to kind of have as a life memory.
Yeah.
And we'll always remember the play.
It is. All right. Go Bears.